Welcome to Adorama TV. My name is Marcin Lewandowski, and in this episode of the Viewfinder, we'll look at night photography. When talking about night photography or photographing at night, we're not necessarily talking about astrophotography or long exposures. It's also not always tied to architectural or landscape photography. When photographing at night, imagine that you're working on a movie set or in a darkened studio and look at all the different light sources available as if they were your own personal studio setups. Dark, creepy alleys, flickering lights and danger lurking at each corner. Night photography can be dodgy in some places, so stay safe. I recommend partnering with a fellow photographer. Locations for night photography can look significantly different, and for example, shooting in a brightly lit Berlin Mitte or a small Polish village of Ostrowice will have distinctly separate visual impacts. This episode is more like a brainstorm session, and that's to better translate how I feel when I go out for a late hour photo walk with friends from time to time. I really enjoy a night stroll with another photographer. It's a good time to have a chat about photography, but also see how other photographers' brains operate. Some of the things I always pay attention to at night are non-existent at daytime, hardly noticeable or even interrupting, like for example sodium lamps, which give out a color of incandescent bulbs on steroids. During the day, it would be a nuisance and a lot of white balance acrobatics. At night, however, they become almost magical and a pleasure to use as a source of light. If you can also find one that can be used as a singular source, then magic will happen almost instantly. A strong contrast and interesting color can be used in their natural version, but also notice how it translates very nicely into black and white due to its almost duotone look. Night is not just about the solitary sodium tubes though, and I really like using streetlights for bokeh experiments. Sometimes just to create interesting patterns in themselves, and sometimes to use these patterns as background for portraits or to be used for multiple exposure experiments. Night is actually a great way for finding empty spots around the city that are not that visible during the day, while at night they become illuminated by artificial lighting. We can play around with what's impossible in daylight and go for a completely science fiction look by overexposing things or simply photographing in a way that leaves a lot of darkness for the viewer's imagination. What to do when you want to see something that's not lit at night? A simple solution is to bring a tripod and at least one strobe. Set up your camera for long exposure and flood your subject by firing the flash multiple times. This can create really unusual lighting that wouldn't be possible without a photographer's intervention, and if you want something even more special, why not go for light painting, which is a separate topic in itself. As you can see, night can offer us photographers a studio-like environment where a lot of unusual effects are possible, simply thanks to the scarcity of light. At the same time, it's completely different to a studio because of the amount of space we have to play with it. As with all photography, imagination is the key here, so feel free to mix some ideas I suggested and embrace the darkness. Subscribe to our channel for more and check out the Adorama Learning Center for some cool tips and tutorials. This was Marcin Lewandowski for Adorama TV. See you next time.